Welcome back. Happy sunrise to all of you. We are on part 2 of episode 3. Last episode, we went over some of the indicators that you'll be using to allow you to know when to enter and exit a trade, and which we would use multiples of those to be able to add on to our yeses and or our no's when to enter and when to exit, because we want to be able to use multiple signals, not just one, right? So last episode we went over some indicators: the EMA, the exponential moving average, and the ADX, the average directional index. I want to be able to add on to some more indicators that would allow you to be able to add on to that. So to those indicators that will allow us to say yes, 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 yes. So let's jump right into it. Again, I'm just gonna say this because I have to say this. I'm not a financial advisor. If you're seeking any financial advice, you should seek an expert. But I've been doing this for a while, and it's pretty simple. So let's just get to making the money, right? So, pardon me, excuse me. So let's dive right into it. We have our Fidelity Active Trader Pro open, right? If you don't get it open, and if you're not where I am, remember in the prior class, you go to chart, select new chart, you would type in the ticker symbol, and which will bring you into this chart. Now you want to be able to go into settings and click fill candlestick, change the opacity grids to which best suits you, the colors. I'm not gonna dive too deep into that because that's just backtracking. Get your indicators on. Right now we have our EMA and we have our ADX. Don't mind this, that's coming in at the bottom, right? So let's just add on to it. Let's get right into it. Another very, very handy indicator that we can use is the RSI, right? The Relative Strength Index. Beautiful tool. Now let's go to modify this, as we would like to be able to click modify. You can come down here and click modify, right? Now you can modify every tool to your best interest. You can change the colors of the line. You can change this top line here. The green line is the overbought and the red is the undersold, right? You can change these colors to which best suits you. Now at the overbought level, what we want to do is to be able to bring this thing very close so we can get some great details. So put your overbought level at 55 and your undersold level at 45. Now let's click apply. And if you notice, what it does is that it brung in this specific region very close to us, right? And now we'll be able to combine these things to see some of the same actions or some of the signals that'll let us know, hey, this is a good time. Remember, we're looking for those signs that say yes, yes, and no, right? We want to be able to combine it. So here we can look that once it's in this specific region, if it goes below, we can know that it's completely going down. And the beautiful part about this is that it's a line, so it allows us to see the peaks of the action, right? So if you notice that we use this line, we use the RSI here, and below, once it comes to the undersold, we notice that the line, the action of it is completely going down, which we can combine that here with the ADX. that we noticed that when the orange and the green said that it's going down, it's completely going down here. So we can see the action is happening on both. So we have two signals. Another one that we can add into is that when we look at the EMA and we notice that all three lines here crossed over a red candlestick, right? So that means it's going in a downward trend. And now these specific fill candlesticks are below the line. So now it shows us that it's specifically going down. And now the distance between the lines, the specific EMAs and the candlesticks allow us to know how far deep or how far high that specific action is taking place. So let's just go back to the RSI here, down here. So we notice that it's started to take some upward momentum trend. And we can see that in the first shelf here, which it did decide to go up a little bit. But here lets us know that, hey, it just touched our undersold line. It didn't go too far deep into it. So let's just be, we can buy in here, right? You can notice that it's a zone that you can get in, but is that the specific time that we want to get in there? Because we see here that the motion, it obviously went down. So what can solidify that specific time frame when to get in? We can look at the EMAs here, right? And we notice that not every specific EMA line went through the cone to say that, hey, this is when it's happening that it's going to go up. Now, versus we see here the action of it, 3 of them went through the green line, right? So, and we bring that down here, we can see that before that happened in the ADX, it has showed us that the orange and the green line crosses each other right here. And which, in a sense, if you look at the first shelf, the lines go through they cross this green candlestick. So we already have one signal here happening that, hey, this may be going in a direction, this may be a time frame for us to get into. And we can use the RSI to say, hey, it's in this specific region of when we can jump in, and we can know that, hey, it's another time to get in, and the action of it is going to go up. And how do we know that? Because we have 3 indicators, 3 EMAs letting us know that cross through a candlestick and it's underneath the candlestick as it goes in the upward trend. And now as it goes up in the upward trend, we see that it's the action is over the overbrought line section here, right? And we can also see in the ADX that the space in here, we want to also be alert of the space in between the orange and the green line as the green line shows up what direction it's in, so that we can see that this peak here of the green line, the plus, also shows us that it's at a high point. Now we can decide to get out at this specific point. My cursor's on the first shelf. We can decide to get out at this specific point and take the earnings that we got right here. Or we can look at the EMAs and notice that, hey, this thing is still underneath the candlesticks. So there's a very huge possibility that it may still be on the upward trend. Let's just say that we should know that the purple EMA that we have here is very close and very tight in detail. So we want to be alert of that. The 20 is basically the protocol, the standard of what we all use, right? So, and this is in sense if you decide not to use the 10 and the 30, you can just use the 20 by itself. Me, I like to use all 3, but my eyes will be fixated on the 20 period. So I would notice that the candlesticks are still underneath the 20 period EMA line, right? And if we look closely here, this is where the precise detail comes in. We can zoom in on this specific time period here, right? And what we notice is that the line never officially crosses any candlestick here. It crosses the wick, but it doesn't tell me at the moment something is going to happen, right? Here it crosses through the red, the bearish signal. So it alerts me, hey, this may be a specific time to get out, right? But yet I still have a 30 period EMA line underneath that didn't specifically cross that. So I may still hold at a specific point in time because there's a possibility that it may go up or it may go down. This is where I precisely get into detail. But right after that, if you pay attention, there's a strong bullish action. And next to that, there's another bullish action, which brings my line through this candlestick and through this candlestick. And now I also have another signal here at the bottom that shows that the EMA is underneath the candlestick. And I have the 10 period EMA going through this specific candlestick. So these are even 3 more signals to say, hey, it may still be going up. And underneath that, these candles are this 30 period EMA is underneath, right? So in a sense, we have a bit of a sideways trend here, and we can ride that for a bit. And once you notice, you see inside of this zone at the bottom on the 3rd shelf, we have the RSI that is still within this zone, is struggling within the zone to figure out what action is happening. But because I know that at least one of my EMAs is still underneath, it's showing that the footing of it is giving that great support underneath, it's still gonna go up. And I have my lines of the EMA going up, cutting through the cones. I'm gonna stick with that. I'm not gonna get scared and pull out because I have multiple signals is telling me, hey, this is going sideways at one point, and we have our footing underneath us, and it still may go up, and it's crossing through some strong bearish actions here, right? We could zoom back out, and those specific points are very crucial details that we can add in to know that let's ride this for a longer time period, that we may be able to get the extra money that we're looking for right there. Let's add in another great indicator, which is a beautiful combination with what we have here, right? It's called the parabolic SAR. What this has here, I love it so much, right? It gives us dots that shows the action, the direction of where the stock is headed, right? Let me give you a secret to it, a nice niche to it. Because sometimes when we're trading here, we want to know before the action takes place. Let me give you a perfect example. We'll go into here. We'll zoom into this specific time period here, right? Now, before the SAR came into effect to let me know that it's going down, we noticed that the lines of the EMA crosses through the parabolic SAR indicator. It crosses through before the actual downward trend is coming into play. But here's something to be very aware of as we're looking at it, right? So we get an alert that, hey, this is going to make a turn because we're crossing the parabolic SAR line here. So there's a very huge possibility that we may get a downward trend here, which we may see. But what would give me the definite to know that, hey, this is definitely going downward? What that would be is if these specific EMA lines crossed, if it did cross a bearish candlestick, then I would know for definite that, hey, this is going down with the combination of these lines going through the parabolic SAR to show me that these dots of a downward trend will soon come in. Once I combine all of those, I would know that it's going down. But at this moment, that isn't a thing, right? All three of these lines are still underneath the candlesticks, giving it that support. The candlestick never fully crossed any of these lines. So yeah, it may be a downward trend, but it's not an actual downward trend for a retracement. This is more of a sideward action, because remember, we have the lines underneath. So as we notice that this was signal us for a downward trend, but we were still under, I would stay in. Now, as we notice, the parabolic SAR came back into effect to an upward trend here. So we're able to still ride this out for the time period to maximize our profits. All right. So I'm zooming out just to give you a further look. We can see utilize the parabolic SAR to let us know what direction we're going into. And yes, we can modify those colors here. Again, we can modify every bit of tools that we have, and you can change the color and so forth, right? But utilize this in a combination with the exponential moving average. It's a beautiful combination once you put that in with the RSI and the ADX and the volume to allow us to know how much volume is happening within that time period. These are some beautiful tools, let's just add in one more tool here. This is I'm gonna have to make another part 3, which I didn't expect. I do not want to drown you with information. I know you need to break this down and take the time and practice it. All right. So there, another field we can get into is the draw section, right? Now, with the draw section, what we can do is that we can draw trend lines. We can draw horizontal lines. We can draw vertical lines. We have the Fibonacci time zone, the Fibonacci retracement. We have the Fibonacci fan lines. We have all of these tools that we can utilize to say when something is happening. So let's utilize the trend line. We can draw a trend line in which we notice what is best in a time frame for us to utilize a trend line is that you want to go first, you want to go to settings here, right? Just to see this as best as possible. And we'll go from candlestick, we'll go into line. Change the graph into a line graph. Now, I'm not saying to use this when we specifically trade, because me, myself, I personally like to use the candlesticks when we are trading. But for me to be able to see a specific trend line, we'll go to the line graph because they have points that makes it a lot easier for us to connect the lines to. What I'm going to do here is actually, I'm going to keep these EMAs here. Before that, what you can do, you can save all of these tools, right? And you can save the chart and even give it its own specific name so that you do not lose all of the tools that you put in there and you don't have to start over every time you do it. You can name it, put in whatever name you want and hit save. Hit save. this specific thing that I'm going to show you here is how to draw. I'm gonna close these off just so that we can see a little bit better here. Now remember, you can save your charts just for tutorial purposes. I'm just want to be able to show you where we can figure out our trend lines. So remember, we was at draw, come down to trend line, and what we would notice here is that we want to go to a area where we can see a specific trend happening. And once we look here, we notice that these peaks, valleys, I want to call them, these valleys here all seem to be happening at this specific region here. So I would like to draw a trend line. Sorry about that. Let's get this trend line going. I would like to draw a trend line that shows me, hey, you know what? Let's watch for this specific point, right? Because I feel that this is where a lot of the trend is happening at. So now, me being able to, how can I utilize this, right? I can draw a trend line here, and I can also draw a trend line for the resistance point. Because just as much as I'm noticing a lot of the action of the support is at the bottom here, I can know here a lot of these peaks seem to happen right in this area. So I'm gonna draw another trend line because I'm noticing these trends. And what do we notice? How can we combine these two? Remember, we can modify these by the color and whatever, right? You can choose your specific point. What does it show me actually, right? It shows me as in a combination with what I have in an RSI is that when can be a specific time to get in, because now my trend line seems to match the RSI. So you notice that, hey, all of the action is happening here. I want to be able to get in around here or below and sell as it gets higher. And I can make some money off of this trend here as it goes up, because anything above this line here, it's all fair game. It's all profit. And my goal would be to get in here at a low point and grab some money as it goes up. Even more of a goal is to be able to buy at the lowest point here, which we can combine with the RSI, and ride that thing up to the specific trend line where we see most of the action happening. There's a lot more to give you. I'm gonna give you that in the next episode. But again, I would like you to take all of this information, utilize it, put your tools together, utilize all of your tools, and accomplish your goals. As always, it's winning season. I got the merch, man. Let's keep this thing going. If you'd like to get you some merch, don't forget, check out the website, purchase your gear. It's winning season. And if you would like also to be part of my mailing list to get the stocks that are on my specific watch list, which I invest in every day, sign up for it, man. Let the winners win. Let the others just watch. It's winning season, and let's get into it. Let's get this money.